Captain Hyun-woo Kim stood on the bridge of the starship Taeguk and watched the stars bend around them. After 300 years of dreaming about the stars, humans had finally built ships that could travel faster than light. Today was the day. They would meet other intelligent life for the first time. "We're coming out of jump space in 30 seconds, Captain," said Navigator Jin-Ho Lee from his station. The young officer's hands moved quickly over the controls as he prepared their ship for normal space. Hyun-woo felt his heart beating fast. Behind him stood the other members of Earth's first diplomatic team. Dr. So-Young Park, their best scientist, who studied alien life, was checking her equipment one more time. Colonel Jin-Ho Lee, their military advisor, stood quietly with his arms crossed. They were about to make history. "Jump complete, sir," announced the navigator. The main screen showed them a sight that took their breath away. A massive space station hung in the darkness near Proxima Centauri. It was bigger than any city on Earth, with towers and rings that spun slowly in space. Thousands of ships of different shapes and sizes moved around it like insects around a flower. "My God," whispered Dr. Park. "Look at the size of that thing." A voice came through their communication system. It spoke perfect English, which surprised everyone on the bridge. "Human vessel Taeguk, this is Proxima Station. You are expected. Please follow the guide ships to Docking Bay 7. 2 strange ships appeared near them. They looked like nothing humans had ever built, with smooth curves and no visible engines. They moved without making any sound that their sensors could detect." "How do they know our language?" asked Colonel Lee. "They've been watching us," replied Dr. Park. "They probably learned it from our radio and television signals." The docking process was smooth and easy. As soon as their ship connected to the station, they felt the artificial gravity take hold. When the airlock opened, they found the air was safe to breathe. A tall figure waited for them in the corridor. It had pale blue skin that seemed to shine like crystal, and large dark eyes that looked almost human. It wore long robes that moved, like water when it walked. "Welcome, humans," it said in a voice that sounded like music. "I am Veltar of the Vorthak. I will take you to the council chamber." They walked through corridors filled with amazing sights. Creatures with 6 legs and wings like butterflies flew past them. Others looked like giant crabs walking on 2 legs. Some appeared to be made of living metal that reflected the lights around them. "How many different species are there?" asked Dr. Park. 47 species make up the Galactic Council," replied Veltar. "We have lived together in peace for over 10,000 years. The council chamber was enormous. It had seats arranged in a circle, each one designed for a different type of creature. Some seats were filled with water for the fish-like beings. Others had special platforms for creatures that could fly. In the center was a raised platform where Veltar led them. "Beings of the council," announced Veltar. "I present the representatives of the species known as humans from the planet they call Earth." Captain Kim stepped forward and bowed slightly as they had practiced. "We come in peace," he said. "We hope to learn from you and perhaps join your community of worlds." A sound filled the chamber that might have been laughter, but it came from dozens of different types of throats. Some creatures clicked, others buzzed, and some made sounds humans had never heard before. "Join us," said Veltar. "You misunderstand. Your purpose here, young species." Dr. Park felt a cold feeling in her stomach. "What do you mean?" Veltar raised one long arm, and the chamber became quiet. "The council has already decided your fate. We have studied your species for many years. We know your strengths and weaknesses. We know your history of violence and your ability to work hard." "What decision?" asked Captain Kim, though he was starting to fear the answer. "Earth will become a labor world," said Veltar simply. "Your species will provide manual work and raw materials for the greater good of the galaxy. This is how the universe works. New species serve older species. It has always been this way. The humans looked at each other in shock. Colonel Lee stepped forward. You want to make us slaves? Such an ugly word, replied Veltar. We prefer to think of it as service. You will be given food, shelter, and medical care. In return, you will work where we need you to work. And if we refuse? Asked Captain Kim. The chamber filled with more of those strange, laughing sounds. Refuse? Said Veltar. You are one young species with a few dozen ships. We are 47 species with millions of ships and weapons you cannot imagine. There is no refusing. Dr. Park found her voice. But this is wrong. We're intelligent beings just like you. We have rights. Rights are earned through age and wisdom, said Veltar. Your species has been in space for less than 1 year. Some of us have traveled the stars for 1,000,000 years. The young serve the old. This is the natural order. A creature that looked like a giant mantis spoke up. Its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. The decision was not difficult. All 47 species voted the same way. Every single one of us agrees that humans should serve. Captain Kim felt sick. Every species in the galaxy wanted to enslave humanity. There was no one to appeal to, no higher authority, no hope of finding allies. We need time to consider this, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. Of course, said Veltar. We are not unreasonable. You have 30 of your Earth days to prepare your people. Then the work begins. And if we need more time? Veltar's crystal skin seemed to grow brighter. Then we will take more direct action to help you understand. We have ways of making entire planets cooperate. The meeting was over. As they walked back to their ship, none of the humans spoke. They passed more strange creatures in the corridors, and now each one seemed like a potential enemy. When they reached the Taeguk, Captain Kim immediately ordered them to leave. As their ship pulled away from the station, he looked back at the massive structure one more time. Set course for Earth, he said quietly. Best possible speed. What do we tell them? Asked Dr. Park. Captain Kim thought about the billions of people on Earth who were waiting to hear about their first contact with alien life. They were probably expecting news of new friends, new knowledge, maybe even new hope for humanity's future. Instead, he would have to tell them that every intelligent species in the galaxy had voted to make them slaves. We tell them the truth, he said. We tell them we have 30 days to decide if we want to live as slaves or die as free humans. The stars stretched into lines as they jumped back toward Earth, carrying the worst news in human history. Admiral Taemin Choi stood in the command center deep under the mountains of Korea and watched the tactical display with grim determination. 29 days had passed since Captain Kim's return from Proxima Station. 29 days of the most frantic preparation in human history. Sir, we're getting reports from the outer sensors, said Commander Eugene Kang. They're coming. On the massive screen, thousands of red dots appeared at the edge of the solar system. The alien fleet was so large that Earth's computers had trouble counting them all. Early estimates showed over 10,000 ships of different sizes. How many ships do we have ready? Asked the Admiral. 212, sir, replied Kang. Everything that can fly and fight. Admiral Choi nodded slowly. 200 ships against 10,000. The numbers were impossible, but humanity had chosen to fight anyway. During the past month, every nation on Earth had worked together like never before. Factories ran day and night building weapons. Scientists shared their secrets freely. Even old enemies worked side by side. Send the message to all our ships, said Choi. Take positions around Earth. Make them come to us. In space, Captain Donghyun Seo received the order aboard his fighter carrier Soul's Pride. Around him, 96 small fighter ships prepared for battle. The pilots were young, most of them barely 20 years old. They knew they probably would not survive the day, but not one of them had asked to be transferred to safety. "Listen up," CO announced to his pilots. "Today we show these aliens what humans are made of. They think we'll just lie down and let them put chains on us. They're about to learn they were wrong." The alien fleet moved slowly through the solar system, taking their time. They had no reason to hurry. Their ships were bigger, faster, and more powerful than anything humans had ever built. Their weapons could destroy planets. Their shields could stop nuclear bombs. Fleet Commander Zethkar sat in his flagship and watched the human ships arrange themselves in a defensive line. The small human vessels looked like toys compared to his mighty fleet. He opened a communication channel to Earth. "People of Earth!" His voice boomed across every radio and television on the planet. "This is your final chance. Surrender now and accept your place as workers for the galaxy. Your ships cannot harm us. Your weapons are like stones thrown at mountains. Do not waste lives in a battle you cannot win." President Min-A Jung sat in the emergency bunker in Seoul and listened to the alien's words. Around her, the leaders of every nation on Earth waited for her response. She had been chosen to speak for all humanity in this dark hour. She activated the global broadcast system and spoke in a clear, strong voice. "Commander Zethkar, you and your 47 species have made your choice. Now we make ours. We reject your slavery. We reject your caste system. We reject everything you stand for." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "To every human listening to this message, remember these words. We would rather die free than live as slaves. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for the idea that intelligent beings should choose their own destiny." The first shots came from the alien fleet. Beams of energy that could melt steel struck the human defense line. 3 human ships exploded immediately, their crews vaporized in seconds. But the humans fought back with everything they had. Nuclear missiles flew through space toward the alien ships. Most were stopped by energy shields, but a few got through and damaged smaller vessels. Captain SEO led his fighters in a desperate charge against the alien flagship. The massive ship was 10 times bigger than Earth's largest building, covered in weapons and shields. It should have been impossible to hurt. "All fighters, follow me," CEO broadcast to his pilots. "We're going to ram that thing." "Sir, that's suicide," replied one of his pilots. "Maybe," said CO. "But if we can take out their commander, we might buy Earth some time." The fighters accelerated toward the flagship, dodging energy beams and explosions. One by one, they were shot down by the alien defense systems. Soon, only CO and 5 others remained. "This is for Earth," SEO said calmly, and flew his fighter straight into the flagship's command section. The explosion was small compared to the size of the alien ship, but it was enough. The flagship lost power for several minutes, and more importantly, Fleet Commander Zethkar was injured. While the aliens regrouped, Earth's evacuation ships worked frantically to save as many people as possible. Huge transports carried civilians to hidden bases in the asteroid belt and on Mars. The plan was simple: save who they could and keep fighting from the outer system. Dr. So-Young Park worked in one of the evacuation centers, helping to load children onto the transport ships. "How many can we save?" she asked the transport coordinator. "Maybe 2/3 of the population if we're lucky," came the reply. "The aliens are focusing on our military ships right now, but once they realize what we're doing..." The battle around Earth continued for 6 hours. Human ships fought with a fury that surprised the aliens. They used tactics the galaxy had never seen, including ramming attacks and self-destruction runs. When human ships ran out of weapons, they became weapons themselves, but numbers eventually won. One by one, the human ships were destroyed. Admiral Choi watched from his underground command center as the last of Earth's fleet was blown apart. "Sir, we're getting reports that alien troops are landing," said Commander Kang. "They're taking over major cities. What about the evacuation?" 70% complete. The transport ships are still getting people out, but the aliens are starting to notice. Admiral Choi made the hardest decision of his life. Send the code word Phoenix to all evacuation ships. Tell them to run. Don't look back, don't wait for more people. Just run. Across Earth, the last transport ships jumped to light speed, carrying millions of humans to safety. They left behind a planet that was burning and broken, but they carried something the aliens had not expected, the unbroken spirit of humanity. In the asteroid belt, Admiral Hai Wan Bei received the Phoenix signal aboard the colony ship New Seoul. Around her ship, hundreds of other vessels carried the survivors of Earth. They had saved more people than they had hoped, but it felt like a defeat. "What are your orders, Admiral?" asked her aide. Bei looked at the tactical display showing Earth surrounded by alien ships. Her home world was lost, but the war was far from over. "Set up the hidden bases as planned," she said. "Start the research projects. And send a message to the resistance groups on Earth. Tell them we're not giving up." On Earth, Captain Yu-Jin Kang had already gone underground with thousands of other soldiers. They had hidden weapons and supplies all over the planet. The aliens thought they had won, but they were about to learn that conquering Earth and controlling it were two very different things. The aliens began setting up processing centers where humans would be prepared for slave labor. They expected broken, defeated people who would obey their new masters. Instead, they found humans who smiled at them and said, "Yes, sir," and "No, sir," while secretly planning ways to kill them. The real war was just beginning. Captain Yu-Jin Kang crouched in the ruins of what used to be downtown Seoul and watched the alien patrol walk by. The three creatures looked like giant crabs walking on their back legs, their shells gleaming in the morning sun. They carried energy, weapons that could burn through steel, but they moved slowly and carelessly. "They have no idea we're here," whispered Sergeant Kyung-Ho Park from behind a pile of rubble. "Should we take them?" Kang shook her head. "Not yet. We wait for the signal." It had been 3 months since the aliens conquered Earth. 3 months of watching them set up their slave camps and processing centers. 3 months of pretending to be broken while secretly building the largest resistance movement in human history. The aliens thought they understood humans. They had studied Earth's history and seen the wars, the conflicts, the times when people gave up and surrendered. What they did not understand was that humans had never faced total extinction before. When every human on Earth faced slavery or death, they became something the galaxy had never seen. In the hidden tunnels beneath the city, Dr. Jae Sung-nam worked in a secret laboratory. Before the invasion, he had been a simple biochemist studying diseases. Now, he was humanity's best. Hope for survival. "I've finished analyzing the alien tissue samples," he told his assistant, Dr. Won-seok Lim. "The results are very interesting." The Resistance had been collecting alien biological material for weeks. Every time they killed an alien patrol, they took samples back to Dr. Nam's lab. What he found surprised him. "These creatures are evolutionary dead ends," he explained to the other scientists. "They've been living in peace for so long that they've lost most of their natural defenses against disease." Dr. Lim looked at the test results. "You mean they're weak?" "Worse than weak. They're vulnerable. Each species has developed in isolation for thousands of years. They have no resistance to diseases from other worlds, including Earth diseases, that we've changed in the laboratory." Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt, Admiral Hai Wan Bei was building humanity's secret weapon. The hidden base on asteroid designation X-47 looked like a mining operation from the outside. But inside it was the most advanced research facility humans had ever built. "How many scientists do we have working on Phoenix?" she asked her science coordinator. "Over 3,000, Admiral. We've got people working on everything from biological weapons to quantum physics. The refugees from Earth brought a lot of knowledge with them." Project Phoenix was humanity's plan to fight back. While the aliens thought they had defeated Earth, human scientists were developing weapons that could kill entire species. It was a terrible thing to plan, but the aliens had made their choice when they voted unanimously for human slavery. Back on Earth, the resistance was growing stronger every day. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They assumed that humans would behave like other conquered species. They expected people to work quietly in the slave camps and follow orders without question. Instead, humans smiled and obeyed during the day, then disappeared into hidden tunnels at night to plan attacks. They learned the aliens' routines, studied their weaknesses, and waited for the perfect moment to strike. The aliens also made another mistake. They divided their forces across the entire planet, thinking that a few alien soldiers could control thousands of humans in each city. They had no experience with guerrilla warfare. Captain Kang's radio crackled softly. "Phoenix, this is Eagle. Package is ready for delivery." That was the signal she had been waiting for. "All teams, this is Phoenix. Time to dance." Across the planet, human resistance cells attacked at the same moment. In Beijing, a team led by Commander Bo-Ram Kim destroyed the main alien communication center with explosives hidden in food supplies. In London, resistance fighters led by Lieutenant Su-Min Lee collapsed the underground tunnels, trapping an entire alien garrison. In New York, Sergeant Park led his team in an attack on the largest processing center where thousands of humans were being prepared for shipment to alien worlds. The battle was fierce, but short. The aliens had superior weapons, but the humans knew every street and building. "Get the cameras rolling," Park ordered as his team secured the facility. "The whole galaxy needs to see this." The resistance had been planning this moment for months. Hidden cameras recorded everything the aliens had been doing to human prisoners: the torture, the medical experiments, the casual murder of anyone who resisted. They broadcast it all across the galaxy's communication networks. "Let every species see what their vote for slavery really means," Park said into the camera as burning alien equipment smoked behind him. The coordinated attacks sent shockwaves through the alien occupation forces. In one night, they lost over 1,000 soldiers and dozens of important facilities. More importantly, they realized they were not fighting a defeated population, but an organized army. Fleet Commander Zethkar, still recovering from his injuries, called an emergency meeting with the other species representatives. "The humans are more dangerous than we thought," he admitted. "They fight like nothing we have ever encountered." A Vorthak council member spoke up. "Perhaps we should reconsider. Maybe we could offer them a different arrangement." "No," replied Zethkar firmly. "The decision was made by all 47 species. These creatures are too violent to be allowed freedom. We must destroy them completely." But the resistance was just getting started. Dr. Nam had finished his work on Earth and was ready to share his discoveries with the hidden colonies. Using captured alien communication equipment, he sent his research to Admiral Bay. "The biological weapons are ready," his message said. "Each one is designed for a specific alien species. They will spread quickly and kill efficiently. But once we use them, there will be no going back." Admiral Bay read the message in her private quarters. She understood what Dr. Nam meant. The weapons he had created would not just kill alien soldiers. They would kill entire species, including civilians, children, anyone who shared the same biology. It was genocide on a scale never seen before. But every single alien species had voted to enslave humanity. They had chosen to treat humans as animals. Now they would face the consequences of that choice. "Send the response," she told her communication officer. "Tell Dr. Nam that Phoenix is approved. Begin production immediately." In the hidden laboratories scattered across the outer solar system, human scientists began creating the most terrible weapons in galactic history. Viruses designed to attack Vorthak neural systems. Bacteria that would destroy Chitauri hive structures. Fungal infections that would kill aquatic species in their own oceans. Captain Kang received a coded message from the colonies. "Packages will be ready for delivery in 60 days. Prepare distribution network." She smiled grimly and looked at her team of resistance fighters. They had been fighting with explosives and stolen alien weapons, but soon they would have something much more powerful. "What's the word, Captain?" asked Sergeant Park. "Get ready for the real war," she replied. "We're about to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten the human species with extinction." Above them, alien ships patrolled the skies, confident in their victory. The occupation forces were getting nervous about the resistance attacks, but they still believed they controlled Earth. They had no idea that deep in hidden laboratories, humans were preparing to make 47 species extinct. The galaxy had voted for humanity's slavery. Soon they would learn the price of that vote. Admiral Hyewan Bay stood in the cargo bay of the modified alien transport ship and watched her teams load the final containers. Each small metal box contained enough biological material to kill an entire species. It had taken 8 months to create them all, but Operation Silent Spring was finally ready to begin. "That's the last of them, Admiral," reported Commander Sung Jin-oh. 47 packages. One for each species that voted against us." Bay nodded and looked at the innocent-looking containers. Inside each one was a carefully designed weapon that would exploit the specific biology of its target species. Dr. Nam and his team had created masterpieces of destruction, each one perfectly adapted to kill its intended victims. "Remember," she told the team leaders gathered around her, "these weapons are designed to look like natural diseases. The aliens must never know they are under attack until it's too late to stop it." The plan was simple, but required perfect timing. Human teams would use captured alien ships to visit the homeworlds of each species. They would release the biological weapons in major population centers, then leave before anyone noticed. By the time symptoms appeared, the diseases would have spread across entire planets. Commander O checked his mission briefing one more time. "Vorthak Prime, population 12 billion. The neural virus should spread through their psychic network and kill 90% of the population within 6 months. "What about detection?" asked Lieutenant Sumin Lee, who was assigned to target the Chithari homeworld. "The weapons are designed to have long incubation periods," explained Dr. Sun-Hee Cho, who had taken over the biological weapons program. "By the time anyone gets sick, millions of others will already be infected. And since each weapon looks like a natural disease, they won't realize they're under attack." Captain Young-Ho Shin raised his hand. "What about the moral implications? We're talking about killing billions of innocent civilians." The cargo bay became quiet. Everyone understood what they were about to do. This was not a battle between soldiers, it was the systematic extinction of 47 intelligent species. Admiral Bay spoke carefully. "Every single one of these species voted to enslave humanity. Not some of them, not most of them, all of them. They looked at us and decided we were animals fit only for labor and death." She gestured toward the containers. "They made their choice. Now we make ours. Either we destroy them or they destroy us. There is no middle ground." The teams departed over the next week, each one using carefully planned routes to avoid detection. They traveled in small groups, using stolen alien identification codes and forged documents. To any observer, they looked like routine cargo shipments or minor diplomatic missions. Commander O's team was the first to reach their target. Vorthak Prime was a beautiful world covered in crystal cities that reflected sunlight in brilliant colors. The cities were connected by streams of psychic energy that the Vorthak used to communicate instantly across their planet. "It's almost a shame to destroy something so beautiful," said his co-pilot, Engineer Bo-Ram Kim, as they approached the main spaceport. "Remember what they wanted to do to our children," O replied grimly. "Remember the slave camps." They landed without problems and began unloading their cargo. The virus containers were hidden inside crates labeled as medical supplies from a minor outer colony. Vorthak customs officials barely glanced at the paperwork before waving them through. The team split up and visited 12 major cities across the planet. In each one, they simply opened a container and let the invisible virus escape into the air. The Vorthak neural virus was designed to be incredibly contagious, but completely undetectable for the first 30 days. By the time O's team left Vorthak Prime, billions of the crystal-skinned aliens were already infected. They felt fine and continued their daily lives, never knowing that their psychic abilities were slowly being turned against them. Similar operations were taking place across the galaxy. Lieutenant Lee's team successfully deployed fungal spores on the Chitauri homeworld that would corrupt their hive mind communications. Captain Shin released aquatic bacteria on the Nurian worlds that would destroy their breathing systems. Each weapon was a work of deadly art. The Gromlak species, who lived in low gravity, received a virus that would make their bones too heavy to support their bodies. The energy-based Luxari were infected with a disease that would disrupt their ability to maintain physical form. Dr. Cho coordinated the entire operation from her mobile laboratory ship. Team 7 reports successful deployment on Zephyr Prime, she announced to Admiral Bay. Team 12 has finished their mission on the Kalari homeworld. Any problems with detection? Asked the Admiral. None so far. The aliens have no idea what's happening. Some of their medical centers are starting to report unusual symptoms, but they think it's just a series of unrelated natural diseases. The genius of the human plan was its subtlety. Instead of obvious attacks that would trigger defensive responses, the biological weapons appeared to be evolutionary corrections. Each disease looked like something that might naturally develop to exploit weaknesses in the target species' biology. Back on Earth, Captain Kang's resistance forces noticed that their alien occupiers were starting to act strangely. The Vorthak. Commanders were having trouble maintaining their psychic communications. Some alien soldiers were calling in sick with mysterious symptoms. Something's happening, reported Sergeant Park after observing an alien patrol. They're getting messages from their homeworlds, and they're not happy about it. The first major outbreak occurred on Chitauri Prime 6 weeks after the deployment. The fungal infection had spread through their hive cities, destroying the chemical signals that allowed them to coordinate as a species. Within days, their entire civilization began to collapse as billions of individuals lost the ability to work together. Similar catastrophes were unfolding across the galaxy. The Vorthak psychic network began experiencing cascade failures as the neural virus spread. On aquatic worlds, entire oceans became toxic as the Nerian population died in massive numbers. Fleet Commander Zethkar received desperate communications from 47 different worlds. His own people on Vorthak Prime were dying by the millions, their crystal cities going dark as the psychic energy that powered them failed. It has to be the humans, he told his remaining council members. These diseases are too perfectly designed to be natural. But it was already too late. The biological weapons had been spreading for weeks before anyone noticed the symptoms. Even if the aliens abandoned Earth immediately and rushed back to their homeworlds, they could not stop what was already in motion. Dr. Cho had designed the weapons with one final, terrible feature. They were not just diseases that killed their targets. They contained genetic modification viruses that would make it impossible for the surviving aliens to reproduce. Any children born to infected parents would die within days. The extinction will be complete within 2 generations, she explained to Admiral Bay. Even if some individuals survive the initial infection, their species will die out naturally. On Earth, the alien occupation forces began receiving orders to return home immediately. Panic spread through their ranks as they learned that their entire species were dying. Many alien soldiers simply abandoned their posts and tried to steal ships to get back to their homeworlds. Captain Kang watched alien transports leaving Earth's atmosphere and allowed herself a small smile. "Let them go," she told her resistance fighters. "There's nothing they can do now." The occupation of Earth was effectively over. The aliens were too busy dying to maintain control of a single planet. Human prisoners walked out of the slave camps as their guards fled in terror. But the real victory was happening in the depths of space, where 47 different species were discovering that their unanimous vote to enslave humanity had consequences they never imagined. The galaxy was learning that when you threaten humans with extinction, they respond by making extinction a reality for everyone who opposed them. Admiral Bay received the final report from her operation teams. All packages deployed successfully. Estimated time to complete species extinction, 18 months for most targets, 36 months for the most resistant populations. She looked out at the stars and wondered if any other intelligent species existed beyond the local group. If they did, they would inherit a galaxy that had learned a terrible lesson about the price of threatening humanity. The quiet death had begun, and nothing in the universe could stop it. Admiral Chol Su-an stood on the observation deck of the human flagship Terra's Vengeance and watched the last alien transmission play on the main screen. The creature speaking was barely recognizable as a Vorthak. Its crystal skin had turned gray and cracked, and its once bright eyes were dim with approaching death. "Please," the alien begged, its musical voice now harsh and broken. "We surrender completely. We offer everything we have. Just make it stop." 5 years had passed since Operation Silent Spring began. 5 years of watching 47 species die slowly and quietly across the galaxy. The biological weapons had worked exactly as Dr. Nam and Dr. Cho had designed them. They spread invisibly, killed efficiently, and prevented any hope of recovery. How many are left? Asked President Yunhai Song, who had come aboard to witness this final moment in person. "Our best estimates show less than 10,000 individuals from each species," replied Intelligence Officer Hana Yoon. "Most are scattered across isolated space stations or remote colonies. They're too few to maintain their civilizations." The message had come from the ruins of Proxima Station, where the first human diplomatic mission had been given their ultimatum 5 years earlier. A few hundred survivors from different species had gathered there, hoping to make one final plea for mercy. "They want to meet with us," said Admiral An. "They're offering to make humanity the new rulers of the galaxy." President Song looked out at the stars that now belonged to her species. Human colonies were already spreading across former alien worlds, cataloging the ruins of dead civilizations and the advanced technology left behind. "Set course for Proxima Station," she ordered. "It's time to end this." The journey took 3 days. When they arrived, Terra's Vengeance docked with what remained of the massive station. Most of its sections were dark and empty now. The few areas still powered contained the last survivors of the galactic civilization that had once ruled among the stars. President Song walked through corridors that had once been filled with 47 different species, all confident in their superiority over the young humans. Now only a handful of dying aliens waited in the council chamber, their bodies ravaged by diseases that had been specifically designed to kill them. Veltar was among the survivors, but the proud Vorthak leader was a shadow of his former self. His crystal skin was cracked and dull, his eyes clouded with pain. When he saw President Song enter the chamber, he struggled to stand. "President Song," he said, his voice barely a whisper, "thank you for coming. We have much to discuss." "Do we?" replied Song coldly. "I thought you had already said everything 5 years ago." Dr. So-Young Park, now elderly but still sharp, stood beside the president. She had lived to see her species go from potential slaves to the inheritors of an entire galaxy. Captain Kim, promoted to admiral after his brave first contact mission, flanked the president's other side. "We were wrong," said Veltar desperately. "We understand that now. Slavery was a mistake, a terrible mistake. We want to make amends." Dying Chithari clicked weakly from its position near the wall. "We offer you everything. Our technology, our knowledge, our worlds. Just please, find a way to stop the diseases." President Song walked slowly around the chamber, looking at the few dozen aliens who remained from species that had once numbered in the billions. "You want us to cure you?" "Yes," gasped Veltar. "Your scientists created these weapons. Surely they can create cures as well." Song stopped walking and faced the dying alien leader. "They could have. 5 years ago, when there were still billions of your people alive, a cure might have been possible." "Then why?" "Because you didn't just vote to enslave us," Song said, quietly. "You voted unanimously. Every single species in the galaxy looked at humanity and decided we were animals fit only for labor. Not one of you spoke against it." Dr. Park stepped forward. "We studied your decision-making process. We know that some of your species had doubts about enslaving us, but none of you were brave enough to vote against the majority." "We were following tradition," wheezed another alien, this one from a species that looked like a giant sea creature. "The young serve the old. It has always been the way." "Your tradition is what killed you," replied Admiral Kim. "You forgot that sometimes the young grow up to be stronger than the old." Veltar tried one more desperate appeal. "What about mercy? What about compassion? Surely you don't want to be responsible for the extinction of 47 intelligent species." President Song was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm and cold. "Do you know what happened to the children in your slave camps, the humans who were too young to work?" The aliens looked away, unable to meet her eyes. "They were killed," Song continued, "disposed of as useless. Your species voted to murder human children because they had no economic value." She gestured to the dying aliens around her. "You taught us that mercy is weakness. You showed us that different species cannot coexist peacefully. You proved that in this galaxy, it's kill or be killed." "We were wrong," Veltar pleaded. "We learned from our mistakes." "Yes, you did learn," agreed Song. "But you learned too late." Admiral An activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Red markers indicated dead worlds, where alien civilizations had once thrived. Blue markers showed new human colonies spreading across the empty systems. "The biological weapons contained a final component," explained Dr. Park. "Even if some of your people survived the diseases, they cannot reproduce. Your species will be extinct within 1 generation." The chamber filled with the sounds of despair, as the dying aliens realized there would be no reprieve, no last-minute salvation. They had gambled with the survival of their species and lost everything. "Please," whispered Veltar, "at least remember us. Remember that we existed." "President," Song nodded slowly. "We will remember. We're building monuments on every world you once inhabited. Future human children will learn about the 47 species that chose to threaten humanity with extinction." She turned to leave, then paused. "They will also learn what happened to those species as a result." As the human delegation walked back to their ship, Admiral An asked the question that had been troubling him. "Do you ever wonder if we went too far? If there might have been another way?" President Song looked back at the dying space station. "Every single species voted against us. Every one. If we had shown mercy, if we had only killed their military forces or destroyed their governments, what would have stopped them from trying? Again in 50 years? Or 100? But complete extinction was the only way to ensure it never happens again," Song finished firmly. "The galaxy has learned that threatening humanity's existence brings absolute consequences." Dr. Park, who had spent years studying alien biology to create the weapons that killed them, spoke quietly. "In nature, species that cannot adapt to changing conditions become extinct. The aliens adapted to peace for too long. They forgot how to recognize a genuine threat." 6 months later, the last alien died on a research station near the galactic core. Intelligence Officer Yoon filed the final report. All 47 hostile species confirmed extinct. Galaxy secure for human expansion. President Song stood in her office on the new capital world of Nova Terra and read the report. Outside, her window, human families were walking through parks built on the ruins of an ancient alien city. Children played games while their parents discussed which empty worlds they might colonize next. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders. There were millions of worlds waiting to be explored, technologies to be understood, and mysteries to be solved. And now it all belonged to humanity. But sometimes late at night, Song would think about Veltar's final words. The dying alien had asked to be remembered, and she had promised that he would be. History would record that 47 species had chosen to enslave humanity, and humanity had chosen to make them extinct in response. It would serve as a lesson for any other intelligent species that might exist in distant galaxies. Threatening human survival was the last mistake any species would ever make. The stars belonged to humanity now, and the silence of the galaxy was the price of their freedom. In her final entry as president, Song wrote, "We did not choose this war. We did not ask to become the sole inheritors of galactic civilization. But when faced with extinction or slavery, humanity chose a third option. We chose to ensure that our enemies could never threaten us again. The galaxy is quiet now, but it is ours, and it will remain ours for as long as humans remember the price of freedom." The last chapter of the galactic civilization had ended. The first chapter of the human galaxy had begun.